Bonjour, and welcome back to 35 Things I'm Unlearning at 35 Notes from Rebuilding My Life from the Inside Out. And today I am unlearning that every post needs to change someone's life. And I think I put post because of my recent comeback to social media. And because this is where I see it the most at the moment, because this is a space where I show myself, my face, my voice, and this was one of my main means of communication. And this is really where I expose myself and where I feel exposed, to be very honest. But it's been a great exercise to just show up and to stop hiding, physically and figuratively, because I spent the last year really just hiding, isolating, and just obviously being in the midst of a whole life clusterfuck. You don't always want to show that, and I've never been good at sharing anything, especially even to my close circle. I never really shared too much about what was really going on, apart from maybe when I would literally just cry my eyes out. But in any case, I have not been super visible, let's say, on social media or via email or basically anywhere. And so coming back on social media again is really where I feel exposed, but it's also a good practice to stand in front of my camera, to stand with my microphone, because I would love to be on stage one day, have my own talk show, my radio show, and just film everything and then be broadcasted, and also just like take the stage and speak to people, speak with people, connect with them, just change something in them. And this is really the whole thing where I feel is a bit of a paradox, but at the same time where I unlearn the most, because I always have confused my usefulness with my worth. And it's like everything I do in life, and especially when it comes to people, it has to change their lives. It has to be something extraordinary. It has to be something where I just go above and beyond. And then it has to be something where either I give it in person, physically, like a gift, or even a word of affirmation, or even like a conversation or a piece of advice. It has to change someone's life. Okay? Even my dance classes, they have to change people's lives at the end of the day. When they come into class and they enter and they're very shy and just maybe too much in their heads, and then at the end of the class they're just like woohoo, then for me it's like, oh, it needs to be transformative, like extra fucking ordinary, as if like I am gonna be the last person on the planet that's gonna change their lives, kind of changing people's lives. So it's already a lot of fucking burden, but it's like, a great c'est quoi qui disait, what was he saying in the movie Spider-Man, a great power comes with great responsibility, something like this. Et ben voilà, this is my level of responsibility. Each and every person who is in contact with me has to experience something that is fucking transformational, okay? And most of the time, I don't even realize that I said a piece of advice or word or asked a question that literally transformed their whole lives. But that was a level of pressure I was putting myself on my shoulder. And when I think of it now, it's a lot to bear. And it's great, I believe, that the intention is here, but sometimes the delivery is shit. Some of my deliveries were like preaching. And I remember when I was teaching already the first few not the first few classes, but I remember when I started teaching classes outside, there was a period of my teaching journey where I was like, putain, I want them to understand. I want them to feel the power of this. It's like really preaching, but low-key pissed at people if they don't listen to me and if they don't do as I say. So because I really, not as arrogance, but really because I've lived that thing that I was talking about. I never say something that is coming out of my ass or that I found in books, or it's always coming from a place of I've lived it, and this is what has helped me, and I just want to help you. I just really, it's almost to the point like, why the fuck are you not doing this? I'm telling you, this is my example, this is how I've lived it. And like, at the end of the day, I realize that also if people don't want to be helped, or if people don't want to transform or change or whatever, A, it's fine and it's none of my fucking business. And B, it takes the fucking pressure off of my shoulder. And C, I can just be me. I can just share what is true for me without having it become a quote in a book, or something that, becomes a whole responsibility. And trust me, since I removed that responsibility out of my life, I feel so much lighter. First of all, I just feel like I can have regular conversations with people without me putting myself any sort of pressure, obviously, of coaching the person, of giving advice, of supporting or helping. And obviously, this is part of my personality. So, what I'm doing now is just literally asking questions. I've always asked questions anyways, but now there's less of a I'm asking questions, but I'm gonna fix the problem for them. Now it's more I'm asking the question, and if they manage to find a solution that by themselves, fine. If not, fine either. Like, why would I take that responsibility with me? It's like you go to meet people, to speak with people, to have conversations, and to spend a good time. And then they unload whatever is happening in their lives. And then you feel the responsibility of taking their problems. It's like I was going there with a tote bag of, all right, just dump your problems. I'll take that tote bag filled with problems. I'll come back to my place and I'll think of it. I'll mull over it. And then I'm going to send you a message or a voice memo and then fix your problem. And so I realized that it was all coming from this wanting to fix people. It wasn't even from a place of course, I want to genuinely help, and I genuinely want to support and find a solution with you because I enjoy finding solutions. But at the same time, it was also like from a place of, again, confusing love, validation, sense of belonging with my, and worth with my being useful. And since now I'm just also, detaching from all of that, and I think I shared that in one of the episodes, voila. I've been learning that being loved means being needed. This was literally episode number 2. I mean, not episode number 2, but this was the second of this series. And I probably think it's episode number 71 or 72. But anyways, now is just way more chill, to be honest. And so I realized that it has taken such a big space, even now being on social media. And I remember when I started my 21-day journey of finding my voice and expressing myself, I felt so free. Really, I felt so free because it was almost as if, like, not necessarily a digital diary. I really always made sure that this was not something where there was a lot of oversharing and too many details because, hey, this is none of your business. We're still strangers, yeah? But in my head, I was like, if my perspective or my reframing the perspective of what happened for me can actually help someone see things from a different perspective, then I win. I don't even know what I win, but it's just more I am helping someone. So there was less of a pressure for me to just like, all right, with everything that I'm going to say on social media, it has to become something that becomes a sort of Bible or whatever. Like, it can be seen really as someone who's being very arrogant, but I promise you it's from a genuine place of I want to help people because my heart is that sensitive. And after the 21-day challenge, I really felt, within the 21-day challenge, actually, I had this sort of structure in my head where I would always talk about the truth, let's say, then develop it in some way and be a bit more specific with the context of when it happened and how it happened and kind of see the, move from, okay, this is what happened, this is what I'm learning from it, basically lesson, and here's the takeaway, but you do whatever it is that you want to be doing with it. And the level of response was actually very genuine. A lot of people went into my DMs or comments and said that they were resonating and everything. And to me, I really just, it's not that I didn't care, but it's more I accept it, and I really, every time I would see a comment or anything, I would just really take it upon myself to just, calmate, try not to go into this phase of rebuilding your content and making sure that everything lands, everything brings a sense of transformation to people. Like, we don't care. This isn't the purpose of your 21-day challenge. And at the end of this 21-day challenge, I realized that when I still picked up on content, my pieces of content until maybe 25 days ago were so focused on providing value, and that it became super strategized. And obviously when it's strategized, optimized to just, have this, I thought it was like, building resonance and relatability with people. But if I look at it and if I look at some of my videos, everything I said was always true. But the way I brought it was always brought from a perspective of, I want relatability, I want resonance, I want people to take something from it and to change their lives, especially when I don't have anything to offer just yet, as in products. It gave me that opportunity to practice my own language, my own voice, my words, and just, play and experiment, basically, to the point that now, after 6 months, I have a product, which is a digital. It's going to be an online workshop happening on the 24th of June, which is basically how I have been just quieting the noise the last few months and bringing more of who I am into the picture, since I have been always, seeking validation and approval, and the same thing, confusing love with being needed, and basically everything that I'm sharing in the 35 and into the 35 unlearnings at the age of 35. And so when I picked, like, now the difference between how I built content, let's say phase 2. Phase 1 was the 21-day challenge. Phase 2 was experimentation and kind of seeing what it is that I love talking about. I realized that experimenting was great, but at some point it was also like, okay, people like this, so I'm just going to talk about this more. But then at some point you also want to talk about something else. You don't always want to talk about audacity and confidence and whatever. You want to, and I don't believe in niching yourself down and just talking about one thing and becoming an expert, because I am not an expert on anything. I have knowledge and skills and capabilities and resources on a lot of different things, and this is what makes me me. And whoever's saying, yeah, you need to be an expert, not really. We're meant to be experimenting in this life and building skills and learning different things. And so if you want to talk about all these things, just feel free, talk about it. Like, this social media is fucking free. Do whatever the fuck you want. And so phase 3 is literally the beginning of Show Up 90, where he's literally teaching us about not to create content to bring value, if that makes sense, and to really just sit with ourselves, with our thoughts, with our bodies, and really share what is really true for you, period. And in a sense, it has brought a lot of conflict within me, because obviously I've always operated from a place of, I need to bring value, I need to change someone's life with what I say, what I share, what I create. Otherwise, it feels like shit. Otherwise, I am shit. Otherwise, I am not enough. I am not good enough. And we go into these worries, right? But the last 23, 24 days, funny enough, when I look at data, I don't really care about it, yeah? But when on phase 2, I have been looking at data as, oh my God, yes, the content is being shared. People are remembering me. People are fucking validating me, which at some point, you end up creating for people, and you no longer create for yourself. You no longer create for seeing yourself. And the phase 3 now with the Show Up 90, I do realize that it's coming back to that phase 1 of me finding my voice again with my 21-day challenge, and I'm absolutely enjoying it. It is very confronting and very disorienting, because it really feels like, okay, I thought it was the world seeing me, but it's finally me seeing myself. And disorienting, because this is you sharing that. And obviously, again, I'm not oversharing. I don't step out of line, because I don't know people. I'm very still private about my own life. Same with the podcast. I've never really shared anything about friends or family, or that was too much details. But what is interesting now is that there's more calm in my body, to be super honest with you, because I am literally every day unlearning that every thing that I make or create or post, in our case of social media, needs to change someone's life. And sometimes the value is just simply sharing that, okay, this is true for me today, period. And doing that is removing this need for validation, this need for approval on social media. And it has brought me to actually consider other platforms to create. I've always loved writing, so now I started writing some articles on my Substack and created the Substack channel, whatever they want to call it. I am more active on Threads, and it's just literally thoughts, but everything that is happening at the moment is just me rebuilding that confidence and that trust in myself and in what I say, in what is true for me today at this very specific moment, without expecting anyone to agree with me or to validate me, to approve me, or to be someone in someone else's mind. And to be honest, it is so fucking freeing. And I think I still find it confronting and disorienting, because it's like throwing a bottle in the sea. You never know where it's gonna land, or if it's gonna land, or actually it is landing, but you never know where it's gonna land. And funny enough, the more I do this, the more I'm literally being me, and almost like having this conversation between me, and again putting the spotlight on me, the easier the contact is with the people that I meet on social media or on Threads or on Substack, for example. Like, people are just reaching out because, yeah, they resonate, they relate, they want to share their stories, and it just brings that sense of connection that is just really built out of, I see you, do you know what I mean? And less out of, oh my God, yes, this is accepted. People are accepting me, so this means that this version that is coming out of me, the Sabrine that is just also expressing herself through her voice, through her words, is being accepted. No, it's literally about, I accept and I love and I understand who I am, and that's the most important thing. And if you want to do that too, fine as well, but that's not going to affect me as a person. And I think that this is the most liberating feeling ever, and I wish that onto anyone in this life, the gift of self-expression, because then you remove all these layers again of validation, good enoughness, and whatever, and there's a renewed sense of you doing things out of joy and literally enjoying the process, because like, oh my God, you almost become addicted to expressing yourself, and expressing the truth out of you, and not just something that is being shaped to be approved, to be validated, to be liked, to be palatable. So I'm really just super, super enjoying this process. And if you're in that phase as well, please do reach out. I would love to hear your journey, man. Don't leave me out there hanging by myself. Allez, I'll see you tomorrow for lesson number 9.